Students, let's have a look at this equation, which is it's going to turn out to be a bit different from all the equations that we've experienced thus far in this module. First of all, I hope you realize that the first thing we need to do to this equation is to work on simplifying these two sides of the equation, and we're going to accomplish that. We can't do anything in this grouping because there aren't like terms there. 6 minus 9, 10. 6 minus 9, 6 minus 10n, and nothing can be done. But we have multiplication going on, which can be accomplished through distributive property. So negative 2 times 6 gives us negative 12, and minus negative 2 times 10n. Negative 2 times 10n would be negative 20n, minus negative 20n would be plus 20n, equals 10 times 2n, same thing going on over here. We've got distributive property. 10 times 2n is 20n, minus 10 times 6, minus 60. Now, pay close attention to this equation, because at this point right here, we should realize something about this equation. We're trying to figure out what the value in the n bucket is. Now, remember when we thought about the balance perspective, we have 20 n's and 12 negative 1's on the left side of the balance. We've got 20 n's and 60 negative 1's on the right side of the balance. Well, doesn't it make sense that these 20 n's here and these 20 n's here on opposite sides of the balance weigh the same amount? So they basically cancel each other out. So what's left is negative 12. We now have the equation negative 12 equals negative 60, which is clearly a false statement. Basically what that means is that this bucket is empty. There is no value of n that will satisfy this original equation, because it boiled down to negative 12 equals negative 60, and that's not true. And it's going to boil down to that no matter what n equals. I mean, think about it this way. We can still see this. If you take n, take any number and multiply it by 20, and then subtract 12, take that same number, multiply by 20, and subtract 60. You're never going to get the same thing no matter what number you choose for n. So what we say in this case is simply that this equation has no solution. The bucket is empty, and that's how you deal with it. It just occurred to me that I should point out that you have encountered, or I've asked you on previous assignment, to come up with an equation that had no solution. If you remember absolute value, this equation, the absolute value of n equals negative 2.5. That has no solution because absolute value is distance from 0. So this, there's no number that's negative 2.5 away from 0. So that equation would have no solution. Here's another one. You can't multiply a number by itself and get a negative number. So this equation would have no solution, at least until algebra 2. That's another story, because we're dealing with real numbers now. But just a couple other examples of equations that have no solution.